GMAT Verbal Reasoning Study Guide for Faster Mastery. Welcome to the quiz. Question 1. In the 1990s, Country X invested heavily in improving its primary education system, building thousands of new schools and training tens of thousands of teachers. 20 years later, the country's university graduation rate has nearly doubled. Which of the following, if true, would most strengthen the argument that the investment in primary education caused the increase in university graduates? Is it A, during the same 20-year period, several neighboring countries also saw increases in their university graduation rates? Or B, the government simultaneously implemented policies making university tuition more affordable for low-income students? See, countries that made similar investments in primary education during the same period experienced comparable increases in university graduates. Or D, the number of university-aged citizens in Country X remained relatively stable over the 20-year period. The answer is C. Similar primary education investments elsewhere leading to similar graduation increases supports causation by showing pattern/replication, ruling out Country X-specific factors. Neighboring increases suggest regional trend, weakening causation. Tuition policies offer alternative cause. Stable population rules out demographic explanation but does not positively strengthen causation. Next question. In many legal systems, defendants are presumed innocent until proven guilty. This principle places the burden of proof on the prosecution, which must establish guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Supporters argue that this standard is essential to protect individuals from wrongful conviction, even if it means that some guilty people may go free. Opponents contend that the standard is too high and allows too many criminals to escape justice. The debate between supporters and opponents centers on whether: is it A, the legal system currently convicts too many innocent people? Or B, the risk of wrongful conviction outweighs the risk of letting the guilty go free? C, prosecutors are generally more competent than defense attorneys? Or D, the beyond a reasonable doubt standard is clearly understood by juries? The answer is B. Supporters prioritize avoiding wrongful conviction, even if guilty escape. Opponents prioritize convicting guilty, even if higher innocent risk. Court debate is which risk is worse/greater priority. Convictions of innocent not claimed. Competence/understanding secondary. Remember, we can take your GMAT exam for you, remotely and undetected, and with 85% score guaranteed. No fails, no upfront fees, no deposit, pay only after results. Message us via number in bio to schedule your session. Next question. Literary critic. The author's latest novel has been praised by some reviewers for its experimental narrative structure. However, I find that the fragmented timeline and multiple narrators serve only to obscure what is ultimately a rather conventional story. In my view, the novel's form does not enhance its content, but rather compensates for its lack of originality. The critic's assessment suggests that the novel's experimental structure is it A, innovative but difficult for most readers to follow? Or B, less important than the quality of the underlying story? C, used to disguise the conventional nature of the plot? Or D, more successful in some chapters than in others? The answer is C. The critic says structure obscures conventional story and compensates for lack of originality, implying form is less important/valuable than content/story quality. Difficulty for readers not stated. Disguise close but compensates for lack is stronger. Chapter success not mentioned. Next question. Many consumers prefer to buy organic produce because they believe it is more nutritious than conventionally grown fruits and vegetables. However, several large-scale studies have found no significant nutritional differences between organic and conventional produce. Despite this evidence, sales of organic produce continue to rise annually. Which of the following best explains this apparent discrepancy? Is it a consumers may choose organic produce for reasons other than nutritional content, such as concerns about pesticide exposure or environmental impact? Or B, the studies comparing nutritional content did not include all varieties of organic produce available in supermarkets. C, conventional produce is often less expensive than organic produce, making it more accessible to low-income consumers. Or D, organic farming practices vary widely, making it difficult to draw general conclusions about organic produce as a category. The answer is A. Sales rise despite no nutritional difference because consumers value other benefits: pesticide reduction, sustainability, taste, ethics. Studies not covering varieties is weak. Price explains preference for conventional, not organic. Variation weakens studies, but does not explain continued sales growth. Next question. In countries with universal healthcare systems, administrative costs are typically lower than in countries with multi-payer systems because providers deal with a single government payer rather than numerous private insurance companies. Nevertheless, waiting times for certain non-emergency procedures tend to be longer in universal healthcare systems. This suggests that the choice between healthcare models involves a trade-off between administrative efficiency and timely access to care. The passage serves primarily to: Is it A, argue that universal healthcare systems are superior despite longer waiting times? Or B, explain why administrative costs are higher in multi-payer systems? C, describe a comparative advantage of each type of healthcare system? Or D, recommend that countries adopt elements of both healthcare models? The answer is C. The passage highlights lower admin costs, advantage, in universal versus longer waits, advantage in multi-payer for access, describing trade-off/comparative strengths without arguing superiority or recommending hybrid. Explanation of costs is partial. Next question. A recent study followed two groups of adults over a 10-year period. One group consumed a daily serving of nuts, while the other group avoided nuts entirely. At the end of the study, the nut-consuming group had a 20% lower rate of cardiovascular disease. The study's authors conclude that regular nut consumption reduces the risk of heart disease. Which of the following, if true, would most seriously undermine this conclusion? Is it A, the nut-consuming group also exercised more regularly and ate more fruits and vegetables than the non-nut group? Or B, the study participants were all over the age of 50 at the start of the study? C, the non-nut group reported higher stress levels throughout the study period? Or D, the nut-consuming group had better access to healthcare during the study period? The answer is A. Confounding variable, exercise diet, explains lower CVD in nut group, correlation not causation. Age/stress/healthcare are possible confounders, but diet/exercise directly related to outcome. That's it for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell us how many you scored out of 6 in the comments, and let me know what topic I should post next. Bye.